Welcome back up to episode 6. I want to get straight into it. I know my introductions haven't been the best. What I'm trying to do in this episode is I want to pick it up from last episode. Need to at least get the starting part of the new order completed. So what I want to do is I need to do the order type and the location selection, and then once that's done we can actually start to display the items. We want to create, I want to create a category reference for them first. I think that's the most important part. One of the important things when having like a full catalog. So the way that I kind of want to do that is I want to get to a certain point in this, which is just create the order type. So I want to be able to select agenda cut, select order type, and select location. I'm going to put that on a pause, and then we're going to start to look at creating the catalog using the app as well. So this first part will be nice and quick, and then we'll get into a little bit more of the detailed stuff for the category references, and then actually adding the uniform items. So picking up from where we left off, we've got when we get a new order, we click mail cut. That will bring in all the details. We also want to make sure that when we are navigating back to the home screen from here, that we want to reset this as well. So I'm just going to set this to blank, just for testing purposes, that's all. So now when I come here, it's going to reset it. So we've got mail cut, so I want to press this. This disappears. So now we want to have another one for order type. So we have 3 different order types to pick from. So we have new order, we'll go annual allocation, and we'll go wear and tear like so. And did I do this right? I did the, let me just grab this. I meant to do a vertical, I did horizontal, so let's change this. So I'm just going to do it as gallery, same as the agenda cut one. So there's that. There's 3 items there, so it's only ever going to be 3 items. So I'm just going to set this to be 3. We'll do -6, that should be enough. So I'm just going to be working very quickly. Once again, this is just us kind of going based off what we've been doing previously. So we'll go ×5 maybe. ×4. Yep, that's fine. And then we'll go height. So I might be quiet a little bit while I try and get this all set up nice and quickly. Divided by 10 × 3 ×4 ×5. That's good size. So let's look at the template sizes. Got to remember to put this as self.height divided by 3. There's the size right there. I'm going to put a container in there. I can always just go back to this one that I've got here. I can grab that now and just paste this in here. It's not going to do it for me. Paste like so. So just make it nice and quick. Once again, you can see the scroll bars there, so I need to reduce the height a little bit more. So let's go 8. We'll go 7. You want to get it so it's the smallest it can be, or the biggest it can be, with the scroll bar going away. So this has also got all this button here. We're going to kind of change this around a bit in a second. So I'm just going to delete that. I'm also going to do my X and Y axis. Parent dot width divided by 2 minus self dot width divided by 2, and then we'll do it for the height as well. Oh, sorry, the Y axis I mean. Parent dot height divided by 2 minus self dot height divided by 2. So eventually I'll need to come back and color all this in. That's fine for now. So we've got this here now. So what we want to do is we want to just add to the global variable that we have there. So if we go Okay, so what we have to do is we have to kind of then look at what we did before, which is this here, and then we need to also add to it, right? So if I go like this, and all this stuff is already set, right? So what you can do is you can just go global details dot order number. It's just to reset it, and then you just do all the same for here because it's all the same stuff. So we're just going to keep changing these to be this, and we're just going to fix this to be what's already there. Dot employee name, and this will be dot email, right? So we're just going to add another column here. We're going to call it order type, and we're going to set this to this item dot value. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to keep, as we're going through, we're just going to keep tacking on to what's already there. The reason why I'm doing it this way at the moment is just because I don't want to have all this kind of preset when we start. It's just easier just to add on as we go. I'm going to change this pop-up to order type pop-up, just so we know exactly what this variable is for. And now this is where we need to play around with this a little bit more. So we're going to say we need to have a condition for the visibility of this, right? We need to say, first off, if local gender pop-up equals false, then we want this to be true and false, right? And we also need to add another one on there to say and. So and means it's two conditions, right? We're just adding multiple conditions to this if statement. So now we're going to say local order type equals true. So now in order for this to appear, both did I set that right? I think it was on this select I did that. What did I do? Where did I put that? Is that on select here somewhere? Oh great, where did I put that? So should be a button here. No, there's no button. I haven't done that. I haven't put a button there yet. So what have I done? Okay, I worked out what I did. I did it on the button itself. So set that there. So now what's going to happen is if I go new order, select mail cut, nothing's still going to come up because I haven't set the next one as true. So now we go back to here, and where we have this here, we just need to now set this to true when this button's pressed, right? Like so. And we're going to make sure we do the curly brackets. So now if we press mail cut, then this one appears, and then when we press this, it will disappear. So now we have 1, 2, and so the last thing we need is just going to be locations. Now this one's going to be a little bit different. We need to have like a searchability for it as well. So I'm just going to do a container. I'm just going to make this, let's go, once again, just doing a width of parent.width divided by 10 times 5. How big's that? A little bit too big. Let's go 4. That's a better size. And then the height, we'll just do parent.height divided by 10 times 4. This one need maybe a little bit bigger. We'll do 6.5. And then we want to set this in the middle again. So go parent.width divided by 2 minus self.width divided by 2. And then set the y-axis as well. Parent.height 2 minus self.height divided by 2. Right. So now this is in the middle. I want to give this is going to be a pop-up, so I want to give it a little bit of a shadow and round it out a little bit more on the edges, so you can see it looks a bit better. I just then want to put, because we're actually going to have like a search function in this, I do want to give it a little bit of a design. We'll clean it up a little bit later, but I'm just going to go parent.width like so. I want to change this to view because I don't want them to be able to hover over it. I want to get rid of the roundness of it. And I'll just make the font a little bit bigger. I'll bold it. Where is it? Here. And then I'm just going to say location. Right. So then I want to have a gallery. Blank vertical. Love my galleries. So now what I need to do is I do need to change this up a little bit. So I want to make sure I know exactly how tall this is going to be. So I'm going to go height, parent.height divided by 10 times 1. And we'll just change to 0.5, 0.8. That's a good size. So now I know I can go to this gallery. I can go height, parent.height divided by 10 times 5. We'll go 6. Right, and then we'll move this up just to here. Because I want some space down here, so I might just do 7. Space down here for save, go 7.5. 8 looks like it'll be fine. Yep, that's fine for now. So in my template size, I'm just going to change the sizing to be once again self.height divided by 10. And we'll do 8, a little bit bigger, and we'll go 7. That's a good size there. So then I'll chuck a container in once again. I will just grab from one of my previous containers that I have here, like so. Get rid of that. Paste that in there. Right. So this will now be the location. So I need to add that as a data. So if I just go SharePoint again, did this in the first episode, and then add the location. So there's only 3 items there. So I'm only expecting 3 items. It is showing 4 for some reason. Oh no, because I haven't selected it. So I'm going to select that. There's 3 items there. So now this first one, what is this one I've selected? It's the label, and then we have the button over the top. I'm going to leave that for now, and I want to change this to this item dot location name. Right, and just location 1, 2, and 3. Nice and simple. Then what I'm going to do is OnSelect. I want to set what's the issue it's giving me here. We cannot evaluate because the context variable types are incompatible with the type of values in each of these. So I believe it just be this one here is the issue. So if we go global and go here and change this to that, and now we're going to add location as one, and then go like this. Well, then we'll do this item dot location. Right. So now what's going to happen is when I press that, it's going to select the location. Now I just need to do one more variable, which is location pop-up. I want it to be false. Right. And this pop-up should only appear if it should be local location pop-up. Really, that's all it should be, is equal to true. So now we just got to go back a little bit, and we need to set it so that this now updates the variable. Yep, I've selected it on select. Alright, come down here. So now we need to add here at the end of this that it needs to then do the pop-up as true, like so. So now when I click new order, this will come up, and then when I select this, I need this to change to false, which I think I've done. Changes to false and adds that type there, like so. Easy. But now I want to add some searchability to it, right? This is what I was saying about before. There could be more than here, and could be a whole bunch of locations. So let's add a search function. So I'm just going to go back to here, and I'm going to change this to 7. I'm going to bring this down a little bit, and I'm going to insert a input, text input, like so. So what this will allow us to do is we can add a filter to this gallery based on whatever's in here. So first thing I need to do is make sure you delete your default, because it's already like got this as defaulted. We want to delete that, right? You can enter some search text in here, so we'll go search for location. Right, so that's going to enter up, it's going to show up in like this gray field. So now what we want to do is we want to filter these items based on what's entered in here, right? So there's a couple of different codes that you can use for the search part, but the main thing you want to do first is go filter, and then we want to filter the site locations. Now we want it to look for any word that we type in there in the location, right? So you can do starts with as you start to type, it will search for words that start with it. So if you enter 1, for example, it's not going to actually look that up for location_1. What you can do is you can go text input 1.text in, and then you put your location column, right? Now, the problem with this is that it's a non-delegable function. Non-delegable and delegable functions is where you're really going to struggle when it comes to trying to bring in a lot of information. Delegable pretty much means that Power Apps will tell the data source to do all the processing and all the filtering and then spit back out the information. Non-delegable means that Power Apps has to do all the functions. What that means is that Power Apps will only bring in the top 2,000 records. So if you're trying to filter something that's past those top 2,000 records, it's not going to bring it in. Because we're using a small database such as locations, definitely not going to be 2,000 records, definitely not going to be 5,000 records, so I'm quite comfortable in using this. Get comfortable with understanding the difference between delegable and non-delegable. I will try and add some links that kind of give you a little bit more information, but we will go through more as we get there. I'll go through a bit more as we start to get to those struggles. But for now, in is perfectly fine. You can use starts with. If you use equals, it needs to be the exact location. So now the problem is that because I haven't actually entered anything in here, it's not actually going to display any information. So what I want to do first is I need to add kind of like a condition. So I'm going to put is blank text input 1 dot text and close that up, or right. Let's change this. What are you doing? It's not actually doing it for me. Okay, let's try this again. Go is blank text input 1 dot text. So what this is going to do, right, is it's still kind of like an if statement, and this is how you do your ifs in here. Is this is your data source, and then this is your condition, right? This is your filter. So what it's saying is check to see first if this is blank, right? If that's blank, do nothing, right? Don't do this. But if it isn't blank and there's something there, then you do this, and that's where the or is, right? So it's either this is blank or that, right? If there's something there, then it's not is blank, so it's false, so it's got to do this, right? It's always going to try and do this true statement. So now if I start to type in location, it's going to stay there. And if I type in 1, it's only going to show me 1. If I type in 2, it's going to show me 2, and same for 3. So that allows us to have this really cool filtering option or search functionality. A couple little housekeeping things I want to do is I do want to get rid of this hover, so there's no on hover. And then I want to get rid of the focus border thickness, make it 2. And then I will just stretch this out a little bit. I'll go about 400, maybe 500. Bring it in a little bit, and then I'm going to add an icon. Actually, I'll bring it a little bit more because I want to, yeah, about there should be fine. Actually, I'll go 500 again. I'm going to put this in the middle, and then I'm going to add an icon in there to reset it. So if I just set this dot width -2 minus self dot width. I'll be using this code so much to get things in the middle. Apologies in advance. If there was an easier way to do it, please let me know. I'm going to do a cancel button here. I'm going to bring this here. I'm going to make this the same size. So at the moment it is 40. So I'll do 40 by 40. Give it a little bit of padding to make it smaller. And then I'm going to bring this in here. So now what I also want to do is, because there's an icon there at the moment, if I start typing in, this is just a design thing. See how it kind of goes over? I want to give it some padding so that it doesn't do that. So if I come to the padding here and give it a 40, because that's how long the icon is, you can see it just sits there. So I'm just going to do about 45. So now you can see that X is always going to be there, right? So what does this X do? It's literally just going to reset this input. So if I do OnSelect, it's a command called reset, similar to reset form. And then you select the asset you want to reset. So the reset will put it to its default state, which in this case is a blank input, like so. So now you can type a whole bunch of things in here, hit here, and then you're done. Now, because I did this a little bit different, and instead of having a button here, you can just click on here. I'm just going to increase this height just to get it through the rest of that, like so. I'll bring it in a little bit, 7.8. There we go. So as I add more will come up there. I can make changes to the colors and things like that. I'm not going to do that for the moment. But what I also need to make sure that I'm doing is that when I select this, that I'm resetting this, because eventually I won't reset it. So I need to just add at the end of here one more, and you can do a select. So if you have a button or something that can be selected, like your OnSelect, you can use a function called select. Let it know which one you want to do. So I am selecting icon 4, and it will press it like press it like you're pressing it. So as I press this and it resets this, it will do the same on select. Right? Simple as that. If you don't do that, when you come back to it, you'll see that it's still writing there, and it won't go until you actually press that button. So just the way around it. I will reduce this a little bit more, so I'll do 5, like so. Simple as that. So that's all done. So now we've got, when we try to create a new order, we've got gender cut, order type, and location. And all of that information is going to be displayed in a global variable like so, right? And then that global variable we can utilize here. And so the order type will go here, global, global new order dot order type, like so. And then we need to come back to our main SharePoint list and add a location. Right, so it's just going to be text input tjk pro underscore uod underscore location. Right, then I update the database in here, like so. And then I just add a new field here. Right. So just in case I can't remember if I have shown it, to add a new field here, you click on your form, you go to the fields here, like so. It will open this little sidebar. Then you click add field, and then you search for the field. So it's going to be location, like so. So I've added location, and then I'm just going to set the default properties of that to be the global new order details dot location. So we're able to have this form sitting in a separate location, and we're able to kind of have this like kind of very UI friendly way of entering the data. You got to think like it's a lot easier for people just to press mail cut and press new order and press location. It's got to be like so much easier for them to do that than it is for them to click a drop down or anything like that. And those are like stored somewhere else. So in terms of the new order, we're going to put that on hold now, because we're pretty much now up to, okay, we need to select the items, right? There's no other questions I can think of at this current time. So let's move on to making kind of like a way of creating categories and playing around with our catalog items. So welcome back. So just what I've done in between cuts is I've gone and created a new SharePoint list. It's just one column at the moment, right? Just got 2 rows in there, and I've added it to the SharePoint list. And I've created a new screen. I've just called it catalog screen. Now the idea that I want to have here is I want to have a way that you can see all the categories, and then you can go into those categories and also add items to it. But we need to start with first displaying the categories and then being able to add categories. That's what I want to do in this video. In the next video will be about how to add items to those particular categories. So my favorite thing of all, containers. Always like to start with containers. This size here is 1, so this is going to be a size of 8. So we'll do height parent dot height divided by 10 times 8. Right. Now I do want to bring this into the middle of this space. So what I need to do is I need to go parent dot height, right, divided by 2 minus self dot height divided by 2. Right. Now that brings it right there, and I need it to go down a little bit more. So then I also need to plus the container that's there, which is container 1 2 dot height, right, divided by 2. So what that will do is that will bring it right up into the middle here. So now this is in the middle, in between these two spaces. Simple as that. We need to do this mass first, then this at the end. Right, simple as that. So now this will just be the same as the width, but I'm just going to make sure it's in the middle. So I'm going to go parent.width divided by 10 times 8. We'll go 9 actually. And then we'll bring that into the middle as well. Parent.width divided by 2 minus self.width divided by 2. Now this is where we're going to be playing around with we're just going to do a little bit of magic here, right? So we're going to add a horizontal gallery, like so. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure it is the parent height, parent width and parent height. Definitely important for me. I need it all OCD symmetrical, not symmetrical, but all the same height, like so. So I need to add the data source, which is catalog categories. Now you'll see here how it's one big line. You can actually wrap these items as well. So if I go to the properties tab over here, and you can see here you got this wrap count. If I do that as 2, you'll see that it's actually cut the size in half. So now I can have multiple lines. I want to do this by 3. I feel like 3 is going to be the magic number to display all the categories, and I'm looking at maybe 16 categories, right? Maybe even 18. So I'm going to go template size, and I'm going to do parent, we'll do self dot width divided by 6. So we're right there, we're right at this good spot. So we can have 18 categories here, right? But I also need to remember that I need to have a way of adding an additional category. So this is where we start to learn something really cool. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to come back to the home screen where our nav is, and we're just going to add a little bit of code. We're just going to add an if statement, right? So we're just adding if this item, so the item that you press label is equal to catalog, then we want to do a clear collect. And what we're going to do is we're going to collect the uniform categories, and we're just going to do that by collecting every single item that's in the uniform categories. And we're going to add another item. So this is just an offline one called add, right? This is what we're going to use to be able to add more categories. What we don't want to bring in every single row at the moment. So for what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go show columns. This is a unique little function that allows you to actually tell it what columns to bring in. And all I want to bring in is just the categories column, or the category name column. So it's going to make it a little bit quicker if you are using a lot of data. Bringing in a lot of data. At the moment I'm not, but I'm just doing this preemptively because we're going to add some more columns to it, and I only want to bring in this at the moment. So once that's done, I also need to make sure that I have changed my on start for the catalog and given the move screen column an actual screen to move to. So I'm going to set that to the catalog screen. So now when I press this and I go catalog, what it's meant to do is it's meant to move me there, but I haven't because I haven't done a run all start. So now I go like this. So what this has done is this has now created the collection for me. So if I go here, look at my collection, I can see there's 3 rows. So now if I go here and change this to my new collection, there will be 3 rows there, and I'll see that once I add in a container from a different screen, so I don't have to do all the work, like so. Let's go here, paste. Oh, it's not going to let me. Let's try again. Copy. Paste. So you can see that there's 3 screens here, like so. I am going to just delete all this. Now I can see a little bit of an error that I have done, which I'll fix up in a second. This item dot here, and this item, sorry, that was the icon. So we can see the name here. This icon needs to be deleted, and this just needs to be parent. This could be 0, and the width needs to be parent.width. And we'll move that. Alright, so I can see that I've kind of made a bit of a mistake where the way it's going to go is up and down. I kind of want it to go left and right. So that's just the gallery that's selected. I will change that eventually. But for now, what I want to be able to do is when I click this add button, I want to be able to create a new category, right? I want it to be able to patch into this category. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, and on this select, I'm going to do an if statement. If this item equals add, I want it to do an update context, and we're going to have a pop-up come up. Just a nice simple pop-up. And we're going to go local underscore add category pop-up. And then we're going to set that to true, like so. And then we close it off. So only if I select this add, it will do this, right? So now I'm going to do a pop-up. I'm just going to grab a pop-up that I've already created just to save some time. It'll be here somewhere. I think this is, nope, where is it? This one here, just going to grab that, come to here, I'm going to paste this here. I'll set the visibility to be local add category pop-up. So now when I press this, as you can see, this appears. I'm just going to delete this, and I will make this smaller. I'll make it maybe about 3. Right, and then I got to change the sizing of this height to 2. Right, and we'll change this to add category. Let's grab these now and kind of bring it down a little bit, like so. And then I'll just add a simple button here for now. Add button. And we'll just do save. And we'll do this type name of new category. Right. This is all adding functionality to the app so that you as a developer won't have to do it. So when I'm trying to develop these apps, I'm trying to develop I'm trying to think of the longevity of it. Like, should they come to us as developers to add new categories? Well, why can't we give them that feature? And this is what's going to take your skill set to that next level. That's what I'm finding anyway when you start to work with Power Apps as a developer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to patch. We're going to do a command called patch, and we're going to patch to the categories SharePoint list, and we're just patching a new record, and we're going to go like category, like so. It's just a category name. And we are going to call it whatever's in here, like so. .text. Close that. Then what we need to do is we need to have a way of closing this out. So I'm just going to add a cancel badge up the top right here again. And this is going to be the same size as this for its height and width. So if I go width dot height, and change the height to that too. Dot height. Move this here. Give it some padding. Change the color to white so I can see it. I've got the right side there. Nice and easy. Make it white. If it wants to go white, that'd be really nice. There we go. So there's that X there. There's an X there. So now when I type something in here and patch it, it's going to close this. So I needed to press both this icon here and this icon. So I'm just going to go like this, and we'll go select this and select icon 5. And then lastly, we needed to, what we can do is we can put the update context on here. So we'll go update context, like so. Add category pop-up, we're going to set it to false. So we have a way of opening and closing this right now. And then when we hit save. So the last thing we need to do when we hit save is we need to run that same code that we ran from the home screen. So I'm just going to grab this code here, like so. And I'm going to put that on the save button. Because if I just run this, it's not actually going to add it. So if you see here, if I go new category can be bags. And if I hit save, it doesn't actually do anything, right? But if I go home and then I go catalogs, you can see bags has been added. So now when I click this, if I add that same code to here, like so, and then I click new category, so we'll do shoes, and go save, we can see it updates it there, right? So that's just a little bit of understanding of how some small coding such as if statements and collections work, allow you to start to have these features inbuilt into the app. The other way that you would have had to have done it is you'd have to come into the SharePoint list and then add the categories here, right? But this isn't something that your users of the app are going to know how to do most of the time. And if you just keep doing these requests to add the catalog items in the future, it's kind of going to bog you down with your workload. Well, that's what I'm finding anyway. So it's easier to give that functionality into the app. You also got to think of, as I said, longevity is very important for me. In my position, if I need to go and someone's going to replace me, it's easier for them to just go into the app and make the changes rather than go, which SharePoint do I have to do? What fields do I need to enter? All that type of stuff. It's just easy to go straight into an app to get it done. So I can now just spend some time here adding in all these categories. So you can see here, I don't actually have a color for this background. So that's better. So a new category could be socks, right? We could add safety gloves. We could do safety vests. Safety vests, right? The last thing that I would be putting on here, right, is a way of deleting. So we're just going to do a trash icon because it's the easiest to understand. Like the user's going to know exactly what that means. Is if I press this, it's going to delete. So I'm just going to set this to 40 and 40, put it in the top right corner. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go on select. Okay, so we've got this trash icon. We're going to go on select. Now we can do a remove function, which will allow us to remove this item from the SharePoint list. Now the problem with that is we're not actually bringing in an ID number, so we're not actually filtering it. So my understanding is, and we can test this out right now. If I come here and I grab this, right, and on here, after this, I put this clear collect. If I go to, and the thing is though, you got to also remember you don't want this to be visible on add. So I'm going to just go to visible and I'm going to change this. If this item equals add, I want it to be false. Anything else should be true, right? Because we don't want them to delete add, right? And add will always be at the end because of the way that the collection works, right? It's collecting add at the very last. So now if I go here and I click this bin here, you can see it doesn't actually remove the item from the SharePoint list. So if I come back to here and here it is, go refresh, you can see they're all still there. So what I need to do now is I need to change the coding a little bit. You've got two ways of doing it. You can either bring in the ID from the show columns that we were doing, where was it? On select here. So you can do this here and you can go comma for your show columns, and then you can do ID, right? And then now that will bring in the ID, which just means that when you come to here, you also need to add the column in here as well, which is fine, right? This is probably the easier way to do it. Less ways of breaking anything. So now when you go to your icon for OnSelect, I'm just going to give it a certain line. You want to do a filter. So where it says this remove item here, you want to do a filter. So you want to go filter, and then you want to filter the catalog categories, and your ID is going to equal to this item.id. So now what's going to happen is when I press it, it's going to go to the SharePoint list and it's going to remove that. Give me a second. What's it telling me? It's expected, received 1, expected 2 for the remove. Okay, so, no, sorry, that's incorrect. So you put this here, you need to do a lookup. Lookup this, and then your ID equals this item.id. Lookup will look up a single record and return it. So what we're saying is remove, and then we're removing this record. So it's going to look up that particular record and say remove it. So now we also need to do this same, we won't actually need to do it any more of this because it's going to run it straight away. So now if I go and click safety vest, it removes it. I can remove safety goggles. Oh, why isn't it doing it? Let's have a look. Here. So safety gloves are still there. Socks are still there. So let's see what's happening. So it could be because I haven't. Oh, I see why. Because this clear collect here, we haven't set the ID on there. So if we go ID, and then we come home, and that's one way. The other way to do is if you know you're not gonna have that many, you can just look it up based on this wording. It's always easier. I'm more confident just to go based off the ID. So I go safety gloves. I can get rid of socks. I can get rid of shoes. I can get rid of bags. Get rid of pants. And get rid of shirts. So now there's nothing there. So I can just start from scratch. And I can go shirt. We can add pants. We can add socks. Right. We can add shoes. So we can just keep going. And eventually we'll fill it up. And we can just scroll. So we've got 18. Potentially 18 categories that we can display here. We could always add more if we need to. That will be it for this episode. The only thing that I would possibly add is a couple of more features to the categories, such as allocation limits. That's something that comes up. As well as with my organization, even though we've got like 14 different categories, they all share their allocation limits between a couple of them. So for an example, pants and overalls, if they're two categories that we want to define in the app as, two potential things that they can look through, they actually share the same allocation. So that's something that can be added eventually as well. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm going to keep it quite simple. I'm not going to set any allocation limits. That's like way down the track. But it's something to consider that we can add quite easily. So for now, I'm going to leave it there. Just for a wrap on what we did is we added a new screen. We finalized the new orders. So now we can select order type and allocation. Order type and location. We've done a catalog screen where we can just add as many catalogs as we want, categories as we want, and remove categories as we want. Next episode will be more about the uniform items themselves. So when you click on here, it's going to then display all the uniform items that have that category reference for it. And then we're going to do the same thing where we can add items, but we're going to have a pop-up that comes up that we can add photos to and a couple of other things. So look forward to that episode. Probably won't be done today. I'll probably end up doing it tomorrow or even next week. So anyway, thank you for watching so far. Please give any comments or any feedbacks on how it's going so far. We are in, I think it's episode 6 or 7. I can't actually remember off the top of my head. So yeah, looking definitely to get some feedback off everyone. So appreciate it. Take care, everyone.